The candlelight flickered, casting shadows that danced across the white tablecloth like ghosts of promises long broken. Daniel sat across from his wife, Elise, at the Blue Olive, her favorite restaurant, the place where they'd celebrated their first anniversary 8 years ago. Tonight, he'd hoped to rekindle something, anything, to bridge the growing chasm between them. But her eyes, once warm with love, now darted to her phone, her lips pressed into a thin, distracted line. The weight of her indifference pressed against his chest, heavier than the silence that hung between them. Daniel adjusted his tie, the knot suddenly too tight. "You look beautiful tonight," he said, his voice soft, searching for a spark. The navy dress she wore hugged her frame, a reminder of the woman he'd fallen for, the one who used to laugh at his terrible jokes. Elise glanced up, her hazel eyes flat. "Thanks," she muttered, her fingers tapping the screen. No smile. No warmth. Just a word, tossed like a crumb to a starving man. He swallowed the sting and reached for the wine menu, hoping the familiar ritual of choosing a bottle might anchor them. The Blue Olive was their place, after all, dimly lit, with jazz humming softly in the background, the air thick with the scent of roasted garlic and fresh rosemary. Every corner held a memory. The booth where she'd first said, "I love you." The bar where they'd toasted to their new home. Tonight, though, the memories felt like shards of glass underfoot. The waiter arrived, a young man with a practiced smile. "Good evening. Can I start you with something to drink?" Daniel looked at Elise, waiting for her to suggest the Pinot Noir she loved. She didn't look up. "Just water," she said, her tone clipped. "Pinot Noir for the table," Daniel said, forcing a smile. "The one from Napa, please." As the waiter left, Elise sighed, setting her phone down with a deliberate thud. "You didn't have to do that." "Do what?" Daniel asked, though he knew the answer. Every gesture felt like a plea these days, a desperate attempt to hold on to something slipping through his fingers. "Order for me. I'm not in the mood for wine." Her voice was sharp, slicing through the fragile hope he'd carried into the evening. He leaned back, the leather chair creaking under his weight. "Okay. What are you in the mood for, Elise? Because I'm trying here, and it feels like you're somewhere else." Her eyes flicked to his, then away, settling on the flickering candle. "I'm here, aren't I?" she said, but the words lacked conviction, like a script she'd rehearsed but didn't believe. The waiter returned with the wine, pouring it into glasses that caught the light like fragile promises. Daniel took a sip, the tartness biting his tongue. He wanted to ask what was wrong, to demand answers for the late nights, the guarded phone, the way she flinched when he touched her. But the words lodged in his throat, choked by fear of what she might say. Instead, he tried to steer them to safer ground. "Remember our first time here?" he asked, his voice softer now, almost pleading. "You spilled sauce on your dress, and we laughed so hard the couple next to us complained." Elise's lips twitched, but it wasn't a smile. "Yeah," she said, her tone distant. "That was a long time ago." The words landed like a punch. A long time ago. 8 years of marriage, 2 miscarriages, countless fights and reconciliations, reduced to a footnote in her voice. Daniel's fingers tightened around his glass, the cold seeping into his skin. The meal arrived, plates of pasta and seared scallops arranged with care. He'd ordered her favorite, the lemon risotto, hoping it might stir something in her. She pushed the food around her plate, barely eating, her eyes drifting to the window where city lights blurred in the rain. "Elise," he said, his voice low, trembling with the weight of what he was about to ask. "What's going on? You've been different. Distant. I need to know if we're okay." Her fork stilled. For a moment, she looked at him, really looked at him, and he saw something flicker in her eyes, guilt, maybe, or regret. Then it was gone, replaced by a hardness he didn't recognize. "We're fine, Daniel," she said, but the lie was brittle, cracking under the weight of her next words. I wish I'd come with someone else tonight." The restaurant seemed to tilt. The jazz faded, the clink of glasses and murmur of voices swallowed by the roar of blood in his ears. "What did you say?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Elise's jaw tightened, but she didn't back down. "You heard me. I'm tired of pretending. This," she gestured between them. "It's not working. It hasn't for a long time." His heart thudded, each beat a hammer against his ribs. "So that's it? You just wish you were here with someone else?" The words tasted bitter like ash. Who, Elise? Who's someone else? She looked away, her silence louder than any confession. And then, like a dam breaking, it all came into focus. The late nights at work, the password on her phone, the way she'd stopped wearing her wedding ring, claiming it was uncomfortable. The truth clawed at him, raw and unrelenting. Is there someone else? He asked, his voice breaking. He didn't want to know, but he needed to. The not knowing was worse, a slow poison that had been eating at him for months. Elise's eyes met his, and for the first time that night they held. Yes, she said, the word soft but final, like a door slamming shut. The air left his lungs. He wanted to scream, to demand details. How long? Who? Why? But his body betrayed him, frozen in the plush chair. The restaurant, once a sanctuary, now felt like a stage where their marriage was unraveling for all to see. Who is he? Daniel managed, his voice hoarse. Does it matter? Elise's tone was defiant, but her hands trembled as she reached for her water. It's not about him. It's about us. We've been broken for years, Daniel. You just didn't want to see it. The accusation stung, but it wasn't entirely wrong. He'd seen the cracks, her late-night texts, the way she'd pull away when he tried to hold her. But he'd clung to the hope that love could fix it. That he could fix it. So you've been lying to me, he said, not a question but a statement, heavy with the weight of betrayal. How long? She hesitated, her fingers twisting the napkin in her lap. 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of secrets, of stolen moments, of her heart belonging to someone else while he'd been planning anniversary dinners and dreaming of a future that didn't exist. The pain was physical, a vice around his chest, squeezing until he could barely breathe. He stood, the chair scraping against the floor. Heads turned, but he didn't care. I'm done, he said, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. You want to be with someone else? Be my guest. Daniel, wait. Elise reached for him, but he stepped back, her touch a burn he couldn't bear. No. You made your choice. He grabbed his coat, the weight of it grounding him as he walked toward the door. The rain outside was relentless, soaking him in seconds, but he welcomed it. It hid the tears he couldn't hold back. He didn't look back as he left the Blue Olive, left Elise sitting alone at the table where they'd once promised forever. The city lights blurred through the downpour, and with each step, the weight of her betrayal settled deeper, a wound that would take years to heal. But in that moment, walking away was the only thing that felt right. The only way to reclaim the pieces of himself she'd shattered.